Okay, so today I get the pleasure of talking to you about your nutrition. This, you will find, comes with a 6-page packet full of graphs and charts, because this is my heart, talking about nutrition. Let me tell you a little bit about why I'm qualified to talk to you about this. First of all, my name is Melody Barrons. In case you didn't know that, I think all of you do. I've always been interested in food, always been interested in nutrition. Sadly, I started counting calories at the age of 12 years old because I grew up in the 70s and I was a teenager in the 80s, a young mom in the 90s, during the whole calorie, low-fat phase of nutrition. So that kind of led to disordered eating. Counting calories, low calorie. My best friend and I always joke, when we were young mothers together, at the same time, we would spend our day drinking coffee, not eating food, so we could lose the baby weight. That was not healthy. Go figure. So had 3 kids. I was a homeschool mom when it was weird to be a homeschool mom. Then I started culinary school when my kids went to school. I decided I wanted to be a chef. I loved food because I loved food even with the disordered eating. So back in early 2000, I went to culinary school. I graduated in 2003. I worked as a caterer, a chef, a kitchen manager, and I had the goal of opening a restaurant of serving healthy food, whatever my version and thought of healthy food was at that time. So then, after that, in 2008, while I'm doing all this, I had always done kind of running and cardio. I'd never done weights. That wasn't really what my age bracket did as females. I discovered P90X, started lifting weights, had really no direction, but that kind of started changing how I looked at exercise. Then my life changed a lot between 2008 and 2010. You can see that there. My father died of Parkinson's disease. I ended up, my first marriage was ending in divorce. I reconnected with one of my high school boyfriends, who's right there. We've been married now for over 10 years. And during that time, one of my jobs has always been either in banking or baking. So it was either one. I was either working in a restaurant or I was working in a bank. So in 2012, I started important. You know, I talked to a lot of my clients, and the interesting thing is how a lot of people will look at me and say, you know, I have these knee issues, I've got this gut issue, I always have migraines, I wake up with Charlie horses. And then they start talking to me and they'll go, you think it's what I'm eating? Yeah, it has a lot to do with what we're eating. All those things that go wrong or right in our body have everything to do with nutrition, and also all of the other external inputs that we have in our life. So let's talk about the structure of the body. We have to understand that to understand why food matters. First of all, we're chemical. We start there, right? Atoms. DNA, we start there. Those come together, they make cells. Cells come together and they make a cell tissue. Cell tissue comes together and makes a smooth muscle, let's say. A smooth muscle tissue might be heart tissue, for example. Then all of that smooth muscle tissue comes together, that makes an organ. The heart, the spleen, the brain. All these tissues come together to make all of these organs. Even your blood is actually an organ. So then we have all these organs, and each organ comes together and creates a system. Anybody name a system for me in the body? Anything come to mind when I say the word system? Respiratory. Digestive system. So you have, your skin is actually a system. That's the integumentary. That's always a hard word to say. Skeletal, muscular, your endocrine system, which is your hormones, your lymphatic and your immune system working together. All of these things come together to make systems, reproductive systems in our body. But then all those systems, when you put them together, that makes you as a person. You're the organism. So when we talk about nutrition, we have to talk about the body as parts, and then systems, and then a whole. And when we look at the definition of nutrition, the nutrition definition says that it's the act or process of nourishing or being nourished, the use of food for life, health, and growth. So, nutrition. How do I get nutrition? I have to have a nutrient, or a nutriment. Those words are interchangeable. So what is a nutrient? A nutrient is any substance or matter taken into a living organism that serves to sustain it in its existence, promoting growth, replacing loss, and providing energy. So let's go back to the fact that we start as a chemical, then a cell, and then a tissue, then an organ, then a system, then a person, right? We have to promote growth. We have to replace loss. How many of you know your cells are constantly turning over? Skin cells, we know, right? Skin cells are constantly turning over. Did you know your intestinal tract is constantly turning over? Did anybody know that? Within 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, you have complete cell turnover in your digestive system, in your intestines. So when we talk about that, a human being has about 330 billion cells that are replaced daily. And if you think about it, that's 1% of all of our cells. So in about 80 to 100 days, you have replaced 30 trillion cells, and that's the equivalent of a whole new human being. So now, let's back up. Nutrient. It is going to help grow, replace, and it's going to provide energy and replace all of that loss to make it new. When we're making something, what do we want to start out with? Do we want to start out like, okay, let's take, for example, I'm going to build a house. Do I want to have rotten wood or really good, solid, nice wood to build my house? I'm probably not going to take the rotten pieces to build my house, right? Why would I do the same thing with my body? I want to take good, strong wood to build a good, strong house. I want to take good, strong nutrients to replace and to repair the loss that I'm experiencing every day, and also to grow, because you're coming to work out. So what are you doing? You're growing muscle, right? You got to have something in there to grow. So calories, we're going to move on to the next thing. Oh, first, we talked about what's on every package you pick up at the store. Calories. That's what that you look at to go, okay, how much should I be eating? Calories does not take into consideration nutrients. Calories are really a thermodynamic measurement of how much when we talk about food, it's an amount of heat that's equal to 4.1 joules. And when we talk about it in food, here's how calories are measured in food. Does anybody know how we get that measurement already? Okay.
Raising the temperature of water to like 1 degree Celsius.
Did you already read it, Brian?
No,
Okay. So how calories are determined by food, they use this bomb calorimeter. So it's this cool machine that they take, and let's say you have your Thanksgiving turkey, they grind up your turkey, they freeze dry it, they remove all the fluid out of that turkey, they mash it down, make these little pellets, then they take these little pellets and they put them in this contraption, set it down in a water bath, and they heat the water. They electrocute the food. The food burns, and the heat that it generates raises the water by 1 degree Celsius. Then that lets them know a measurement of calories. There's probably a way longer explanation, but we don't have time for that. So let's look at calories, and now let's look at nutrients. When I think about my body and the physiology that we've already talked about with cell turnover, which one does my body need more? What do I need to be concerned with more? Nutrients or calories? nutrients. It's kind of an easy, when you understand the way calories are measured versus how our body actually works, it becomes real easy to understand that our focus should start being on not the calories, but on the nutrients. What about if I got up and I had Mountain Dew and Cheetos for breakfast, and I had a Snickers bar for lunch, and then, I skipped dinner? Yeah, is that your Tuesday? That's a normal Tuesday? So, and I low caloried. And I also worked out. So I did the classic, I ate less and I moved more. I should be good, right? In the world of nutrition, that's been really the advice. It doesn't really matter what you eat. It doesn't really matter what it is. What matters is that you ate less and you moved more. But what does that do? That puts this as a problem that you have with self-control. Now it's all your fault. We told you to eat less and move more. It says it right on the Coke machine. Hey, don't forget, watch your calories. Eat less, move more, you'll be okay. How many of us have tried it? More and you ate less. What's a natural reaction of the human body? Fatigue. What do you experience? Fatigue, but hunger.
Yeah,
you're hungry.
Yeah, you're hungry.
You're hungry. You ate less, you moved more. What happens? I'm hungry. What happens when we're hungry? Your body is so much like a car in this way that it has warning signals. Sometimes we just don't know how to interpret those warning signals. Hunger is a warning signal that stuff is happening. Remember all the cell turnover that we talked about? Stuff is happening. It's growing, it's changing. There's cells dying, there's cells being regenerated. So your body is hungry and it's saying, hey, I need nutrients. You gave me some Cheetos and a Mountain Dew, and what happened was you were full for a second, now you're hungry again because your nutrient requirement was not filled. You only worried about, we only worried about calories. We ate less, we moved more, we got hungry, we ate something, we didn't satisfy the nutrient requirement, our body's hungry again. That's the trap a lot of people have been caught in for a long time. Exercise. We don't just exercise and we don't just diet. We eat with a purpose and we train with a plan. That's what we do here because we own our life. So that's what I want us to start thinking of in the way of nutrition, is that we don't diet and exercise. We don't worry about the calories so much. We can count them because unfortunately that's really the only way that we have some type of way of measuring to understand what it takes for our body to be satisfied. But what matters most is that those foods are nutrient dense, that they have the exact things that our body is calling for. So our goal at OYL is to eat in a way that our bodies are going to be functional for the rest of our life. What does that mean? Functional for the rest. We want functional longevity. I can live for a long time, but if you walk into a nursing home, if you want to see what overfed, malnourishment looks like, just walk into a nursing home. There's people there who their body didn't get nourished properly, so now they can't care for themselves anymore. And that really is a sign that our body broke down at times. And granted, just like everything else, there's other factors. But as a general umbrella, this is somewhere we missed it. Our body didn't repair like it should have. Your ligaments, your tendons should last for 3 lifetimes. They're that strong. They're that thing that, yeah, we need them, but maybe we don't need so much. Kind of tells us where we're at with our nutrition. And that lets us know we're really complex, but we're also very simple. We're really these awesome masterpieces. So our bodies, what do you need to do to double down to protect that? Well, you probably need to eat meat, vegetables, nuts and seeds, some, healthy fats, some fruit, little starch, and no added sugar. We're simple and complex. So, and we're going to keep those intakes at levels that support our activity, but not fat storage. What's that? How do I figure that out? Well, it takes time, and that's okay. But if you work with us here at OYL, we're gonna help you find that balance, find what works, where you're not constantly having those poor signals saying, I'm hungry, I'm nutrient deprived. That's your body saying, I'm nutrient deprived. That's not how you should feel. You should feel energized by what you eat because it's fueling your body so that it can repair and grow and maintain. So finding your personalized nutrition will take some time and it will take some effort, but it's true that nothing worth having comes easy. We're gonna have to work on it, especially if we've had some disordered eating and things like that. So, just like we can deadlift with some really poor technique, but we can get the job done, how much more efficient and how much more load can we add when we get our deadlift technique right? And we can be like Maria, and we can just pull 300 pounds off the ground. 350, yeah. So when you deadlift with proper form, you reduce the risk of injury. And you also increase the risk of getting stronger. And the same goes for our nutrition. When we dial it in and we get the right nutrients, we decrease that risk of injury to our body internally with all the cell turnover. If we eat the wrong things, we damage our cells, and we try to rebuild from these damaged cells, that's really the heart of disease. Hippocrates said, he's the father of what we would call medicine. He said all disease begins in the gut. Now, when we go back to the gut, it covers about a regulation-sized tennis court. So that's a lot of surface area. And if all disease begins in the gut, that's really what we're digesting. So whatever we're putting in our body and we're getting down into our digestive system, that's what's affecting our health in the long run. It's doing. All it needs is the right tools to do the job. And that's it.